Good afternoon and welcome to Ardnahoe Distillery, Isla's newest and 9th distillery. The distillery was the long-held dream of Stuart Lane, who's the gentleman in the middle, and that's his two sons, Andrew and Scott, who are the directors of the business. In 1965, Stuart came to Islay and he worked in his uncle's distillery. You might know it as Bruichladdich Distillery. And when he finished his work experience at Bruichladdich, he said, one day I am going to have my own distillery on Islay. So he is 73 in October and he has achieved his life's ambition. So we are fortunate enough to be here to present this wonderful distillery to you all and very much welcome everybody from Argentina. You're my first Argentinian guests. So the site of the distillery was chosen for two reasons. One, because we have a wonderful water source in Ardnahoe Loch. It's allegedly the deepest loch on Islay, in excess of 90 metres deep. It is fed by underwater spring and by rainwater and seepage through the earth. The other reason we chose, if you turn round and look at the wall, behind the pictures on the wall, you can see our magnificent view across the Sound of Islay over to the island of Jura. Who would not want to build a distillery in this location when you have a fantastic water supply and a great location? So the build started back in April 2017. And if you see on the first picture on the wall, the concrete slab was poured by May 2017. There was many things to put in place, just the concrete slab. There's a huge step down and the distillery is on 2 levels. So there was all the electrics and all the plumbing to be run. Meanwhile, our copper stills were being built by Speyside Copper Works. The steel lattice construction was completed by November 2017. We were then able to place the large bits of equipment like the stills and the mash tun in place before we closed up the distillery. The distillation here is a blend of the old and new, so we use old machinery and old techniques. However, we have a modern distillery, so we've blended both together. And you will see as we go through the distillery some of the old equipment and the older methods we use. Ironically, unknown to Stuart and the boys, when they built the distillery here, they didn't know that the farmhouse, which is this building here, was this last known site on Islay where illicit distillation took place. And that was back as late as 1970, 1971. So the farmer on that farm used to make his own spirit illegally or legally, depends on the quantity you make. So we say that Stuart and Scott and Andrew have reawakened the stills once again to make whisky flow at Ardnahoe. We started putting the equipment in place, so these are our malt bins. We then sourced a Vickers bobby mill dating from 1928. And you may ask, why are we using something that's as old as from 1928? Simple answer is they don't break down. That mill has on its 3rd set of rollers and it's still running as sweet as, that's what you can hear in the background, and it just keeps churning away. So we bought the old mill. It came from the old Fettercairn distillery and we have it here in situ. So again, it's the old and the new together. Tradition. Wooden washbacks made of Oregon pine. We use Oregon pine because of the length of the timbers, no knots and no sap, therefore no holes. Something else traditional, a worm tub condenser. It's basically a big water bath with these copper coils inside, and that's where we pass our condensate through to turn it into a liquid, which is our spirit eventually. This was just a milestone event, August 2018. This is our lead top for the distillery. That weighs 6 tons. So we have a peated whisky, so it's peated to 40 parts per million, which is similar to the Ardbeg Laphroaig levels. However, we will never taste the same because the secret is in the peat. If you look at this peat, that's all dead grass. The Laphroaig peat, it comes from lower down in the island. It's only about 3 metres above sea level. So Laphroaig, if you drink Laphroaig whisky, is very iodine-y, very oily. This is from about 40 metres above sea level, so that's been out of the water a lot longer. So there lies the difference between what our whisky will be like and what Lafroig whisky is like. So this is our Vickers bobby mill down here, our old bit of equipment. So we look after it. So the distillery is modern. We have very little automation for a modern distillery, and this is one of the bits of automation we have. We automatically weigh the malt. So it comes from the malt bins at the other side, through by conveyor belt. In here, that's it filling up just now. When that reaches 2.5 tonnes, switches off. We will then drop it through the mill, and we crack it open so as we get 70% grist, 20% husk, which is the shell on the outside. That's where all the smoke and the peat is. And then 10% flour, and that gives us the mix that we want. We then put that into the grist bin, and we hold it there until the mashman calls it off. Hello, Fiona.
Hi, how's it going?
I've got 10 people from Argentina.
Oh, hi. Hi.
This is very, very hot, okay? I'm going to open it just so you can get the smells.
Okay.
We take our 2.5 tonnes of malt from the grist bin, we bring it along and we mix it with the water. So we do 3 waters. The first water with 10,000 litres at 64.5 degrees. That's to extract the sugars and starches we need. We let that soak for about 20 minutes, we rotate the rake, then we pump it off to the washbacks next door. We then add 3,000 litres at about 80 degrees. Same process, pump that off. This is the third water. So this one's very hot. This is at 90 degrees. That's just to extract the last of the starches and sugars. We then put it off to the holding tank and we use that as the first water for the next mash, okay? So 2 mashes will create 12,500 litres of what we call wort. So that's basically what we've soaked the water with the barley and we pump it off there. We try to go for as clear a wort as possible because we feel that gives us the better quality of what we're looking for. So this is all a natural reaction. There is no switcher in there, nothing. That's just yeast eating the sugar. The byproduct of that is the CO2 and the alcohol. So in there, there's 25,000 litres of wort, along with 80 kilograms of yeast. So for the first 50 hours, this is the reaction we get, and it's the sugar turning to alcohol. Once that finishes after about 48, 50 hours, we leave it sitting for 20 hours. It's to develop our own flavour profile, because if we let it sit in its own juices, it develops a characteristic. So this is today's mash. So if you get your finger in underneath and taste that, it's very different, very sweet. Whereas that one, all the sugar's been eaten. Yeah. That's still not started yet. So we charge the wash still with 12,500 litres of our wash, which is about 9%. We distill that very, very slowly. We bring it to a slow boil so that the vapours rise up in the long neck and down the long line arm and into our worm tub condenser, where it runs down to the bottom and turns into liquid and comes out in the left-hand panel in our spirit safe. And that's called low wines. That's at about 28% alcohol. We then charge our spirit still with 9,000 litres of the low wines and the faints from the low wines and faints tank. Again, a slow bubble, bring it up, down, round, and it comes out in the right-hand side of the spirit safe. If it's in the left-hand bowl, that's what we call our faints or our 4 shots. You don't want to drink these because they'll make you go blind. And after about 40 minutes, we change it over to the middle bowl, sorry, the right-hand bowl. That's called our middle cut, and that's what we keep and cask as our spirit. We're in the spirit area here, and you're going to get to taste some of our new make spirit. I know you've been drinking some whisky already, yeah, but we're going to let you taste some new make spirit. This is our low wines. So this distillate is coming from this still here behind us. We then charge the spirit still, and this now is what we call the heart. So this is the spirit we keep and we cask. This is the golden liquid, or will become the golden liquid. And this is an Ardnahoe computer. And there is a computer operator. We check everything by gravity and by temperature. No computers involved at all. So it's Fraser's nose and Fraser's hands that decide when that goes. Welcome everybody. We're going to do a little tasting here on 3 of the Hunter Lane products. One being Highland Johnny, which is a blended malt. And the other is Islay Johnny, which is a blend of some Islay malts. And the other one is Scarabus, which is an Islay single malt from an undisclosed distillery. If you pick your first, number 1, Highland Johnny. So this is a blend of malts from Highland region and Speyside. And it's got a distinctive, nutty, smooth, complex nose to it. Nice colour, it's all reasonably aged whisky. It's not old, it's all reasonably aged. And if you read the back of the tin, balance of smoothness and complexity. So please take a taste. That's the kind of whisky that I could drink at breakfast time. But it's a beautifully balanced whisky. Blended malts are beginning to make more of an impact on the market nowadays. They're not as expensive as the single malt, but yet these have been blended with first fill American oak and some sherry casks, so you're getting that lovely balance of sweetness and complexity coming through. That's definitely one I would keep in my drinks cabinet at home. If somebody who came to stay did not like a peated whisky, that's what I would give them to try. Or if they were a new drinker to the whisky market, I would give them something like that to try. Because it's very, very easy to drink. Number 2. Second in the Journey series. It's called Islay Johnny. And this is a blend of 5 Islay malts. Straight away, you take that one in your left hand, smell that one. And then take the Islay one. Straight away you get the difference. There's a bit of smoke and a bit of peat in there. It's a great introduction to Islay whisky. Many people find Islay whisky, if it's the first one they've tried, it's too challenging. This is a really good introduction to peated whisky, a bit of smoke. And again, nicely balanced because it's got a good blend of the different types of wood they've used. Slange. Sweet spice. I would say more in being in bourbon cask than anything else, because you get that spiciness of the bourbon. Do we have any bourbon drinkers here? All of you? Well, you need to stop. You need to drink more whiskey. We started selling this when we opened the shop, and we did a cask strength edition of this to commemorate the opening of the distillery on the 12th of April this year. And it's proven very, very popular. We sell lots of this. And the third one in this series of 3, which is most definitely my favourite. This is a single malt from Islay. So it's from one distillery, from one batch production. And this is a bit more complex. It's not blended, so it's just one beautiful, beautiful whisky. It's finished in first fill American oak casks. And it's a medium peated Islay malt, so it's about 25 parts per million. So you get a bit of spice on the nose, richness, and then once you take that first drink, you get a little nip, then leathery tones, peat comes through. It's absolutely beautiful. This is something that I try to keep in my drinks cabinet at home, but for some reason it seems to evaporate. I don't know why. I absolutely love this as a whisky, and it's very, very reasonably priced. In this country, for a whisky like that, you could normally pay £60–65 a bottle. We sell this for £38 a bottle. So a very, very good price. Hence, we sell lots of it. So these three brands here are our core brands within the distillery visitor centre, and Hunter Lane concentrate a lot on pushing these brands. I think that's a terrific balance of brands, that you've got that Speyside Highland, you've got that smokiness of Islay, and then you've got a bit of peat with the single malt. There will be a cask strength edition of this coming out soon, and there will be another one of the series coming, which is going to be called Highland Johnny, which will have some other island malts in it. So we're going to have a real fantastic core of good balanced products. And it's been a pleasure to meet you all, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your stay on Islay, and I do hope you will come back and visit us, maybe in about 5 or 6 years' time, when we can let you taste our own Ardnahoe single malt, which you've already had a sneak preview of. And we are very, very proud of what we've produced here. We think it's going to be an absolute hit. Jim McEwen thinks it's wonderful. If he says it's good, I believe him. But I think we've produced something really special here. It's going to add to what Islay already offers the world. We're a very, very small rock in the North Atlantic, but we create a very, very big footprint around the world because we produce some fantastic editions of this. There is no such thing as a bad whisky. Only an empty whisky bottle is bad. So, safe journey wherever you're going, and enjoy the rest of your trip. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias por habernos recibido a mí y a todos los integrantes de la Whisky Malt Argentina que nos esperaste especialmente, nos brindaste un lunch, una cata exclusiva para todos los socios y para mí también, así que te quiero agradecer muchísimo por estar de nuevo en Ardnahoe. Estuve aquí desde que estaba la primera piedra junto a Jim McEwen y ahora veo esta maravilla terminada.
It has been a pleasure to welcome you to Ardnahoe Distillery, and I do hope we will meet again soon, and you will come back and taste our Ardnahoe single malt whisky.